Shot 10, Nelson Falls. Now, my entire career, this is one of the shots that I'm most pleased with. As you can see, it's incredibly complex, but I'm most pleased with it because it marries two things that I'm very passionate about: photography and history. This is shot for the Daily Mail Weekend magazine, and the idea was to portray Nelson's life, which climaxes with him being shot on board HMS Victory during the Napoleonic Wars. This involved me recreating the death scene on the decks of HMS Victory, which had never really been done before. So, how did I do it? Well, lots and lots and lots of preparation. The preparation can't be overstated because, well, I had another difficulty. I only had 30 minutes to do this shot in. It's difficult to believe, but yes, I really did do it in 30 minutes. How did I achieve this? Well, we were working from an original painting, which was painted from the poop deck of HMS Victory, of what it must have been like for the sailors when Nelson died. So this shot is based on that. I then worked out every individual character within that, and I printed this picture out multiple times, and each person who is in this picture knew exactly where to stand. So that was the crucial part, that they all understood exactly where they were going to be on the deck and what role they played. As for costume and makeup, the task was simply enormous. We had 2 people alone doing makeup, and we had 3 people doing costume. People had to be put up in hotels. It was a mammoth operation. Had to have a producer working on this with me to just organise everything. I had around 8 assistants. It was a lot of pressure, and I still can't really believe that I did it. The tricky part was to get every model in this shot into position. Now, how would I do that? Well, I gave each one of them a plan. So as they were waiting to go on the ship, they knew where they were going to be. It was carefully rehearsed. And of course, I went along a few weeks before, put the camera in the exact position, and I worked out where every light was going to be, where every person was going to be. I knew I was going to have a chance to get this shot. But when you do something as complex as this, you don't actually know it's going to work until the day. So, that's the plan. What happened? Well, everybody got into position. As you can see, we're using a smoke machine here to mimic the cannon fire. We're using fake blood for Nelson. We've got these 2 guys moving in here, the other guy moving to his aid. They could have been a little bit better, but they weren't professional actors. They were just doing their best. In fact, nobody in this entire photograph is a professional actor. They're all either servicemen, or they work for the Royal Navy, or they're from local amateur dramatic societies. Local amateur dramatic societies are a fantastic resource if you're trying to put together a massive conceptual photograph like this. This way they can bring along their children, because we've got the small cabin boy there, and we all, of course, had to hire accurate weapons. It cost a lot of money, but it was worth it. So, the lighting. That was difficult, to say the least. I actually lit it from very high using a big Manfrotto wind-up stand. I'm using an Electron Octa with 2 Ranger heads inside to give me 2,400 watts bathing the entire deck, with the centre point being around here, with a fill on the lower deck just filling in here at roughly 2/3 up on the main key light, which is covering everything here. So that creates a spotlit effect on the central figure. I want your eye to go straight to that. These guys in the background are lit with a softbox which is behind the main mast here. So I've used that to hide the Electron Ranger and the medium softbox, which is just filling in these guys here, which matches the light ratio for the key light of the whole thing. Now this photograph involves quite a lot of Photoshop. Why? Well, HMS Victory is in dry dock, and what we wanted to do was to put the equivalent of the French frigate alongside the ship where the sniper's round came from, which killed Admiral Nelson. So what we did, we cut out painstakingly every building in the background. Then we photographed another period ship from the correct angle, and we put it in where the buildings should have been. I could have made this an awful lot easier. How? Well, if I'd thought at the time how difficult this cutout was going to be, I could have laid a white sheet over all of the rigging right the way along, which would have made the cutout very simple. As it was, I didn't think of that, and I added massively to my post-production costs. It was a huge cutout job, but overall, I'm really pleased with it. So I shot this with a Canon L series 24 to 70 zoom lens set around the 40mm, and I used a Canon 1DS Mark I on a tripod. Remember, when you're doing anything like this, huge concept, lots of people, always lock the camera down on a tripod. It enables you to bring in different elements from different photographs to make sure you end up with the ultimate one shot. I exposed this at 1/15 of a second at 5.6. Now, why did I risk such a low shutter speed? Well, it's because I wanted to get a little bit of movement. And as you can see, there is some movement in this shot because I'm using a little bit of a slower shutter speed. And 5.6, well, I don't want the whole shot to be sharp front to back. So as you can see, when we get further in the background here, the shot is becoming a little bit softer in terms of focus. So 5.6, moderate depth of field. I didn't want it exposed pin sharp front to back. Also, by exposing like this, I'm shooting at about 1 f-stop under ambient. This means that it's just my light doing the talking. Now, when I say a light doing the talking, I'm saying that on purpose because light is like language. You can shout or you can whisper. And this photograph is a series of shouts in the center area and whispers in the background. So think of light like you would language. You don't always want to shout. As I said, this shot cost a lot of money, but it doesn't always have to cost this much. And I've given you a vital tip here about using local amateur dramatic societies. They can help you really keep your costs down. If you found this video useful, why not download the rest in the series to get the full benefit?